Hi, I'm Papsy Paps. Welcome back to this channel. This is the fourth story time that I'll be sharing with you. And to tell you much about it, it's just please stay so that you can understand what I want you to receive in this message. It's not an easy story because it brings a lot of background feelings and a lot of, remembering this moment of my life is not an easy way to do it, but I'll open my heart to you. So this story I want to tell is about one of the illness that you may know, and is cancer. There's not a cure for cancer. There is no, there's maybe some treatment, but there's no definitely cure for it. So um, this is the story of my father, who one of these days had an eruption in his arm, and he was went to check it out to see what was it. And when he went to see, he thought it was gonna be just a quick operation. They were gonna take it out and it's gonna be all fine. So that day we thought that was gonna be it. So he passed through the operation, and during this they found out this was not just an eruption or something, or it was not just a grain or something into his skin. This was cancer. So when I get to know this notice, I was not living into my father and mother. I mean, with my father and with my mother at Chirinola or Bocas del Toro. I was in Chiriquí. So I get to know this bad news, and I was very shocked because there's a lot of things that you hear about cancer, but it's not the same thing to experience or to have a family or a member of your family having this issue, going through this disease. So I was like, I didn't know how to handle this at first. I told my father that God's gonna be taking care of him and he shouldn't be worried. And that's what happened. We didn't have a lot of education about cancer. We didn't have a lot of knowledge about it, how it works. So I start at that time looking after this illness to see what was going on, how could it will evolve. So my mother showed me some of the studies, and I started looking out, and we found that his cancer was not a small one. He was an advance, so um, we had to treat it. So my mother traveled with my father to the city, and they went out to see how could my father get a date, because we need to get a date for the hospital, because it's very expensive, and we didn't have like all of the resources. We didn't have any resource at all. God was faithful, and he helped us through this tough situation. So imagine my father going through this. It was not hard. It was not easy for him. It was very hard for him to go through this because he started to have pain in his um, legs, so he couldn't walk properly. Then he walked very slowly, and so forth on. He couldn't walk, he couldn't step on himself, he couldn't do many things that were something of day by day. Things like getting a bath, he couldn't do it. He couldn't be stepping on his foot or nothing. That required effort. So we tried to keep him up and be positive about this. And my father is my best friend. He actually was the best counselor I could ever have. Sometimes we had a lot of conversations because he said, "Hey, we have to speak. Let's talk about this." And he tried to pull all out a lot of themes, um, topics to talk about with me. And I, as being the only daughter, I felt this. I didn't want to be like worried, but I was. Um, when I saw that he was being vulnerable, he was being this disease was really taking his ability to do things, I started to feel sad. The truth is that he received a lot of support by family members and friends, and some of the family also made me feel very sad because of the things they said, of the things that they even said lies or suspected things that about him. And I was very thoughtful about this, and I was like, wow, I couldn't believe people that I never expected will act like this. So it was kind of a background seeing all this happening, trying to pray about it and saying uh, to the Lord to save his soul, because okay, I know maybe he could have passed through this, but it was something that only God could come into the scene and make something um, good come out from this. So the doctor made a meeting with all of our family, the closest family, and he told us that it was nothing else to do, but we should wait, and that it was not gonna be easy, but maybe he didn't have enough time with us. So I tried to speak with my father. He could hardly breathe, and I remember his last words, or his words that he told me. I remember them, like if I could hear them today. He said, "You are a good daughter," and that really stayed in my heart. And I know I tried to transmit to my father my faith, and he was very encouraging. He was very respectful about it. He was very supportive about this. I know that my father didn't have like a Christian background. He had some uncles that used to go to a Christian church, and he used to sometimes like have an approach to that Christian side. So he maybe understands sometimes when I was speaking about the Lord. And in this time, I saw my father reflecting about his life, being very thoughtful, and I saw his repentance. There was a scene I can remember, that they were coming in the mornings to sell lottery, because my father used to buy tickets from the lottery, and my mom also. So my father told my mom, "Hey, I'm not gonna buy no more. Please don't try to buy for me, because I'm not gonna buy no more." And that was like a really breakthrough that he had, and I know he was changing it from the inside. And there was a pastor that lived near, that worked with him very long time, and he came to visit him and some of the members of the church. And there was one lady that worked for us at this time, that used to take care of him, and this lady used to congregate to that church. So my father begged her to sing some of the choirs, to sing some of the God music, spiritual music. And I saw the change. I was there the last time that he passed out. There was a morning I had to travel back to where I was living, and that same evening I have to travel back because my father had passed away. So the next morning I just know he was not there. He was not gonna be there anymore. But what really kept me encouraged is that I saw my father life change. In those 3 months of illness, he opened his heart to Jesus. He was a different man. He accepted Jesus as his Lord. He confessed it with his mouth, and he believed it in his heart. And the word says that if you confess and believe, you will be saved. So I know that my father made a good decision. I was sad, but at the same time I was encouraged, because I know he was in a better place, because he made the right decision. Even though it was the last time that he made the best decision. And I just want to tell you, encourage you, that you never give up. Continue, because God has a plan to save your family. It was a plan that he did to save my father, and I know he went to a better place. He's there waiting for the call of the Lord when he's coming back. So please continue, and God will save your family, because that's a plan. that he has for us. So that's for this chapter. We'll be seeing each other soon for the next chapter in the second part of this story time.